Hey, so it is Wednesday morning, almost noon. The weather app said it was going to start raining at 7, so I took the trash out at 6 when I woke up, and it still hasn't rained, and we really need the rain because of the haziness and the air quality and all that. Anyway, so I still have some light. I'm in this is actually my spare bedroom or guest room. And this is where I've set up my new ironing board that I ordered from Walmart because we have an old one that my husband uses, and I didn't want to be ironing out my stuff on the one that he uses for his clothes because he's real picky about his clothes. Anyway, so I bought a new one just for me. And let me just show you what I'm doing now. I decided to do something. So I had started this Tula Pink Hex on the Beach quilt top. I don't know when it was. It was a while ago, a couple of years ago. But the pattern, the little hexy paper pieces, it's a English paper piecing project. So the pattern, the English paper piecing pattern, wait, let me go back and say this again. Anyway, it's the kit with the paper pieces and the pattern. And then I think it may have come with the acrylic template that you use to cut out the fabric to put around the paper pieces. And this is a whole learning thing for me. I watched videos and read and researched and learned how to make special knots when you're sewing, but I did it as I was going along. And so a lot of my original project, it's messy. The stitches are messy. I use different color threads that show, like in this, like I used, like for instance, this is a pink hexie and I used black floss. Anyway, it was showing and it was just getting on my nerves. So I decided I was gonna just like get rid of it or just not do it, but I spent a lot of money on like the fabric and those the paper piecing kits just with the pattern and the paper pieces are not cheap either. Anyway, I was like, you know what? I just need to do it. So I'm taking what I did apart and I am gonna totally redo it. I did screw up on one of the fabric colors. I cut it for something else. I thought I'd already used it. That was a spare piece anyway, and then it's supposed to be fussy cut. It has like polka dots on it, and you're supposed to center the polka dot in the middle of it like this. And so all my polka dots are going to be like crazy, but whatever, it'll be a story I can remember every time I look at it, I guess, if I ever finish it. So look, what I've been doing though is I've been having to take my seam ripper and just go in and rip out the seams that I sewed on every side of these hexies, okay? And so after I do that, then I've got these pieces that are folded up like this because I glued them onto the paper piece, lightly glue. I think it's it's a glue stick that's for sewing. I can't remember the name of it. So the glue's pretty much gone, and I've actually washed this, but when you unseam it, it's left with bunches of little bitty threads. And so I had to individually go through and pick out all the little thread bits. I wish there was a way to do that easier, but there really is. So I got as much of them as I can get done, and then I get to this point. So I've been bringing it in here. I've been doing the other part in my craft room. This is a process. And what I'll do first is I'll just kind of, you know, spread it out and iron it down to kind of get some of those creases out. And then I'll look at it and see if there's like some stray, you know, threads from whatever. There's like a knot that I didn't take out. Get those out of the way. And then I'll get my best thing ever. So this is still looking like that, okay? I'll get my best stuff that I discovered not long ago. It's this Best Press, and it smells like lavender feels. Ooh, it smells so good. And let's give it a squirt. And I just put my iron out over it. And then I'll flip it. And I've just been pressing the heck out of these things to get all the creases out, so it'll be like, well, it won't be like new fabric, but it'll be better than what it was. And then I can like start over, I guess is what I'm saying. So I'll just do this, and while I'm doing it, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this. Can you see my view? I'm looking outside. Yeah, at my backyard. So, at least I have a view while I'm doing it, because I guess it could get kind of boring. So let me just go over this one more time. And I'll do another one. Oops, didn't mean to set it right there in front of the camera. This is one of those. I love this pattern because of the colors. And then I was like looking at the fabric, and I was like, I love tulle pink fabric. I just love the colors so much. Okay, kind of got that ironed out so I can spritz it. And y'all, I hate ironing. I am not an ironer. I can't stand ironing my clothes. But I really like doing this. I think it's fun. Now, some of them, the crease is still in there, but it's just going back in there. It's not, I don't think it's going to matter at all. I'm going to put the paper piece in there. And I just kind of do it on both sides twice. Who else likes ironing, like their projects? I'm actually going to try to finish some things, some small things, and finish them off myself. That's my next goal. Okay, so I did these two pieces, but you can see that was the pink one I did. You can see, I mean, it still has a little bit of creases, but I'm just folding it over the paper pieces. And then there's that one. But do you see how much better it is? Anyway. So I haven't done any cross stitching today. I've been working on this because I'm trying to get to a point where I can start sewing these together. And I actually did something else this morning. I did some organizing. I was working on a project yesterday, and I had a whole bunch of like skeins of floss that I just had pulled from, but I needed to put on like cards. And so I did that, and did that while I was looking out my window in my craft room. I'll put a picture right somewhere up here. It was the sunrise. And then I had an idea. Well, okay, so I was on the Tula Pink. I was trying to decide on some fabric for another project I'm actually having made for me. And I went onto the Tula Pink Instagram, and she was talking about this bag that she uses. See how nice and neat? This bag that she uses for her traveling, while she's traveling, for her EPP, English paper piecing. And it's called a bionic bag. And there's apparently a pattern that you know, out there somewhere, if you knew how to make bags, you could make your own. But I do not know how to make my own bags. That's why I have to get somebody to make them for me. But anyway, I started looking at them, and then a lot of the ones, you know, well, there's one place that had them for like $30, but most of the places, of course, were places where you had to, it was made to order. And I was like, I kind of want something now. I was like, surely I've got something that'll work. All I really need is like something that will carry my supplies for just when I'm sewing, not when I'm making these not when I'm doing this, of course, or cutting them or gluing them onto the paper piece, but just the sewing them together. You know, all you really need is the thread, needle, scissors, a needle threader, some reading glasses, me anyway, and the pieces that you're sewing together. So I was like, what can I find that will work for me? And then I remembered that I had ordered this stitch bow folder. Y'all know what stitch bows are, right? They're the folders that I got it on Amazon, and it was supposed to just be ones that you organize your stitch bows. So stitch bows are the things that hold your floss. They're like these long plasticky things. Anyway, I bought the folder, and then I bought the stitch bow separately, and then I realized that I didn't like the stitch bows. So I had this folder that zips, and I'm going to show it to you in just a second when I finish. This is my last one, and I'll show you what I did. And I really like what I did. But I organized all my stuff, all my supplies for stitching it together, so I can take it with me, like in the car if I'm waiting someplace or wherever, you know, I happen to be waiting, and just pulling out. Now, one thing I did realize is that I cannot see without my reading glasses to sew these things together, because yesterday I had a hair appointment, and you know, I was under the dryer, and I thought, and wasn't like one of those really hot dryers. And I thought, well, I'm going to sew some of these things together, because I'd brought my stuff with me. And I couldn't really get the creases out of that one, but that's okay. So I took my stuff out, and I was like, okay, I can't see it, but I need my reading glasses. So I got my reading glasses out, and then realized that I couldn't put them on my head because of all the foils that were in my hair. Anyway, I was like, shoot. And so I was like, you know what? I think I can do it without the reading glasses. And so I did it for, you know, a few stitches, and then something happened, and I put it up. When I got home last night and took it back out, I completely missed both sides of because you know, you're supposed to, when you have like the two pieces, the paper pieces, they're supposed to be like, you know, right sides together like that, and then you just hand sew them together. I'd gone through one side and completely missed the other, so they weren't even sewn together. And I didn't see that because I didn't have my glasses on. All right, so I've done these pieces, so I'm gonna go put them up and show you the organization for sewing these together. Okay, so before I show you this organizer thing, I just wanted to show you kind of like what I'm working on. And this is what it's supposed to look like when it's sewn together. So right now, so I've sewn these pieces together, but then I decided just to work on these because basically it's all like three, well, it's little sections like this, okay? So I'm making these sections, and then I'm going to, then, you know, when I get the sections for the whole row, then I'll attach. And then the hard part, and see they have the paper in the back of them. See, and here's where I messed up. But it's not gonna show. And it's still, you can still see some stitches, I know, but it looks so much better than, it still looks so much better. And once it's quilted, I guess it won't matter, but it looks a lot neater than it did before, in my opinion. And it's, you know, it's mine. So this is what I'm working on, is little pieces like this right now. So this is the organizer I found, which I bought, gosh, a while back, and I just happened to find it, wasn't using it. And you know, it's very cute. It's got handles, easy to carry. It's got a actual pocket here in the front. And now I'm gonna show you what it looks like on the inside. While I was unzipping it, I realized that these key pulls, or what, not key pulls, the zipper pulls, say DMC on them. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do with it. All right, so that's basically it. We'll just start with this. You can add pages of things in here. I have one of these, I have these page protectors already that I had for printing out projects. And this is what the pattern is actually supposed to look like. Okay. And the actual pattern that I'm following, my husband actually lost one. It blew out of the car. When we were on a trip, one page that had the instructions blew out of the car. But I think I can just go by the looks of the colors, and that's what's on this other one, but it's the entire pattern, so I'm not going to show that just because it's a pattern. But anyway, and then this is all the pattern. Okay, so you can put, you know, a few of these, and I don't know how many will fit, a good many. Put, I guess, whatever you need it for, or whatever you want to use it for. But that's what this is going to be in here. And then over here, I've got this came with it, is this felt piece that was attached, and I'm putting my needles that I use in here, and that little flap covers those up to protect it from anything else. And then this pocket, I've got, you know, my accessories, my scissors, seam ripper, extra needles, some needle threaders, and another like thread cutter, and some of those little pads that you put on your finger, your thumb, like kind of gets sore, so your thumb doesn't get sore for when you press the needle through. Haven't had that happen. And on this pocket, I'm putting my reading glasses, and then I bought these Aurifil, is that the name of them? Aurifil threads. I'm actually using this color right here now, but as I move along to the other colors, excuse me, I do not know where that came from. I can switch. These are the only ones I have, and I'm gonna use those. Or I have like a really light one, but anyway, I think this will be good. And then I've got this back pocket here that has all my pieces. So this is one I'm actually working on now, sewing that together. And then these are the ones the pieces that are already on the paper that I'm supposed to sew on next, like to finish a row. And so I've got everything I really need. The only thing There's one with, I'm gonna go look and find it so I can add into it right now. All right, y'all, I found what I was looking for. So I purchased these back when I got the whole kit and all the accessories that were showing on the video. But these are sew tights, and I'm just putting there for now. But what they do is they just hold your squares together. So when you're sewing them, you know that everything has to be really even, and it just keeps them lined up. I mean, that's not exactly lined up, but they're really strong magnets. So I had misplaced these, but then I found them again, and so I was like, oh, I got to get those out and put them in this kit, because that'll keep me from, you know, having to use like the death grip on these when I'm sewing. So I've got my sew tights, and I will put them somewhere in this bag. Maybe back in this other pocket. All right, y'all, so that's all I have to show you for today, because I think I'm gonna just work on this for the rest of the day. Not the rest of the day, but for a little bit while. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing cross stitching today. I'm kind of into this right now. Hey y'all, it's Saturday morning, and I pretty much finished my UFO project yesterday, and I actually started it yesterday. So, you know, if you want to do anything like this, it's really easy. I don't know what made me decide to do this. I've been saving some of my UFOs, or unfinished, what does that stand for? Unfinished objects. It's cross-stitch pieces that I started and worked on, and then I decided I didn't want to do them anymore. And so for, I guess, the past, I would say, year, when I started reorganizing things, I decided if I wanted to keep something or not. And then if I'd worked on it, I just trimmed that piece off of the fabric, and I shoved it in a bag. And I tried to save as much of the fabric for other smalls, because a lot of these things were bigger things, samplers and just everything actually. But I would save as much fabric because I could use that, but I just trimmed the piece off and throw it in a bag. And so I finally reached a point, well, yesterday or the day before, I did the same thing. I went through some of the stuff. I was like, I'm not going to finish that. I'm not going to finish that. It's not because I didn't love the project. I mean, I just knew there are other things that I wanted to stitch more. Or the fabric color was not, I wasn't happy with it. And I'd stitched too much to frog it. And I was like, forget that. I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to finish this on this fabric. So, but I wanted to save the pieces because I'd spent so many hours working on them, right? And I was like, this would be kind of a cool thing to make into something when I figure it out. So it's on the other side of this. If you saw my Instagram, you already know what this is. But so I actually had this UFO on this fabric. This is the reverse side. But I decided not to stitch this just because I think it was just because it was going to be too big. And I mean, as far as like framing it, and I just wasn't like totally in love. And then I think I was missing some floss, my fault, of course. But I really liked the fabric, and I was like, but I don't want to unstitch. I don't want to frog all of that out, and I don't know what to stitch inside of it. So I was like, I'm going to use it for this. So this is actually the base part. I guess I call it the base part, is what I have my project on. Now let me flip it over and show you what I did. Okay, so, and I'm sorry, the lights are on in here so you can see, but you can see my shadow, so forgive me. Oh, and by the way, that is my new sewing machine that I bought myself. It is a like beginner machine, and so far I'm really liking it. It's very simple for me. Okay, so there's several reasons why I decided to do it this way. As you can see, the border's already done, so it gave me like a area to work in. And these are all like the little pieces of the projects that I've done that I decided that I don't want to do anymore. Just all over. Some of y'all are probably going, what? Because let me just go ahead and tell you that this part right here was a lot of work. But the overall, the entire thing, oh, and this, also a lot of work. I think that's the same project. I just knew I was never going to finish it. So just because of the way it was. Beautiful, and so that's why I wanted to save the pieces. I wanted to save the pieces. So I just trimmed them up a little bit better to where like they had, more straight sides at different angles. And I put them and I ironed them, and then I stitched them onto the material. It's definitely not neat. I'm a beginner. I am a very, very beginner sewer. I mean, I just learned how to like thread the machine. I still don't even really know how to do that. So it's messy. And the edges of a lot of these things, are fraying. Look, see, I got that, and I was like, eh. But I kind of wanted it that way, and I kind of wanted it a little bit messy. This one, when I sewed in, it was not, I sewed in all sides underneath, and it was kind of bubbled or whatever, and when I ironed it, it put like some wrinkles in it, and I kind of like it that way because it's creepy. But I did this because I want to start finishing. The reason I'm trying to start sewing is because I want to start finishing some things, simple things, small things that I've done myself, okay? And I thought this would be a good way for me to practice like cutting with the rotary cutter, ironing with like the best press stuff, and just ironing the stuff before, and not being afraid to do it on a cross stitch piece, because these are pieces I'm not going to be really, they're not a finished thing, to kind of help me realize, these things are going to be okay. These things, I'm not going to ruin it by doing this. And so I thought, and like all these things, I sprayed best press on them and ironed them, and nothing happened to them. And some of these fabrics are, they're like hand dyed or whatever. So nothing happened. And then of course, if it did with these, it would have been okay, but I would have tried to figure out why it happened, but nothing happened to the colors or anything. So, but I thought that would help me kind of get over that like fear of spraying something on my fabric and pressing it with an iron, that it's not gonna destroy it, because that was one of my fears, I guess. And also, I thought it would help me with the whole sewing thing. Like I had to like sew these on these 4 sides, and so I had to learn how to, stop at a corner and then raise the needle and raise the foot and then turn it. I mean, these are all new things to me, and so it was kind of a good way to do it. Like I said, it is not, the neat, but I wanted it to look like scrappy. I did not want to do like a, crazy quilt method, I guess is what they called, where all the background is covered up, because I want some of the fabric to show, because I like the fabric. So there is my piece. Oh, and by the way, I just had to go back. This one hadn't been pressed down. I had to go back and sew this one on, because I didn't realize that it had fallen onto the floor. I was like, oh no, the cow's butt's on the floor. It needs to go on this piece. So I do not know what exactly I'm going to be. Oh, and did I show you these? This is part of the original. So it's UFOs stitched on a UFO, but I finished it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I thought about making it into like some sort of like a wall quilt or a pillow, but I don't know if what I'd do with the pillow, honestly. I mean, it would just be moved around and I don't really have a good place to put it. If you have any ideas of what I can do with it, besides just hanging it on the wall, then I'll be open to hearing that. I might try to take apart a like quilt kit and like get the, like one of those from Dimensions. I have an old one that I didn't pay very much money for. I'm not going to do it either, so it's technically a UFO also, and use batting or whatever's in the middle of the quilt, and then maybe even the back of it. And I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. If you have any ideas, let me know. I am open to hearing about your ideas for this, but it is finished. Well, technically, I guess it's not FFO'd, but it is a finished piece. So I've got a finish out of all my unfinished stuff. Anyway, I wanted to add this on there, and let me know if you do anything special with your UFOs or unfinished projects. Do you put them in a scrapbook? Do you make them into pillows or add them onto? I really like when people add like cross stitch onto the project bags. I think that's a really cool idea. I don't know how to make a project bag, and I don't have any interest in doing that, but I'll leave the bag making for the experts. This is the reason I'm trying to learn how to sew is so I can maybe like finish some of the stuff I have into like little pillows or stand-ups or something. That's about it. I mean, that's my short-term goal. All right, y'all, let me know what you think. Give me your ideas. So I decided to make it into a pillow. This is the very first pillow I've really made, and it's not perfect. I ran out of polyfill, and it's a little messy, but it's good enough, and I'm proud of it, and my husband likes it, and he wants to keep it on the chair, which makes me even more proud. So there it is, my UFO pillow.